What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the stream. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me. And I will try to get things going here pretty quick. Want to check things out. Want to make sure the stream is going and we're filled. We're good. And so we should be able to really get rocking and rolling pretty quickly here tonight, hopefully. I got a couple settings related things I got to mess with, and then we're good. Getting a little bit of a lag, but that's okay. I really can never figure out where to put the video. See if you have thoughts on that. Let me know. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think we're okay, though. Let's move that down a little bit. Feels like it's bigger than it needs to be. I'm about to click onto the stream and make sure it's going. Hey, real quick, give it a like. Click like, especially if you're in the draft. I want to tell everybody on Sleeper to do the same thing. Like, we're trying to... We've got Caleb complaining about the draft not starting yet via a Judge Judy GIF. Posting one more time, and then we'll get started. But please do like the stream if you enjoy the content. Throw comments in there as well. If you subscribe, you're able to throw your comment in immediately. And I will try to make sure I'm checking periodically the comments on YouTube, answering any questions you may have. It can be about anything, but fantasy would make the most sense. But because I believe we are live and set to go, I'm not going to waste much more of your time. I know everybody in the draft is thinking the same thing. They just want to draft. So we're going to do it. It looks like we got green dots on all 12 of us except for Caleb, but he'll be here. I'm drafting from the 1.5 tonight. I think I was the 3 yesterday. All right. Here we go, drafting a 12-team PPR league from the 1.5 draft position. We are underway. We are underway here with Jamar Chase being selected. First overall, it is a full PPR league, 2 RB, 3 wide receiver, a tight end, a flex, 5 bench spots, a quarterback. I always like these leagues that have an extra wide receiver because I think it rewards you for almost prioritizing the format of PPR. But a couple of really good running backs going off the board with the first, well, I should say the second and third picks. I think that's Ray on the clock, and then I'll be up here at the 1.5. And this is a nice tester for me. I mean, 3 running backs going off the board in PPR is a little bit, I mean, that's maybe unexpected. I guess at this situation, if I were doing this for real, the decision I would be making is, am I willing to take Christian McCaffrey? Do I trust his health enough to do it here? I'm not sure I do, but this is a mock draft. And so I want to find out what the hell my team is going to look like if I were willing to take the plunge. So I'm actually going to reach because I think this will have been the sharpest, most, put together draft room of any of the mocks we've done so far. I think everybody here is pretty well plugged in. And so if you're watching at home, you can learn from this mock draft, even if you're not in it. Scroll the draft board. Go round by round. I'll post in the video description below my pick round by round with a timestamp. Click some of those timestamps. Try to figure out, okay, what does the draft board look like? What could I do in my draft based on this? And basically, I consider it, if you're a baseball fan, it's like you're in the on-deck circle and you've got the donut on the bat. Remember the donut? They would slip over the barrel. Yeah, I guess technically over the handle, and then it would get stuck on the barrel, and you're swinging in the on-deck circle, and it's It's a heavier bat than what you're going to swing when you're in the box. That's what the mock draft videos can be for you. So hit subscribe on the channel if you haven't done so, and check in periodically. We're going to do a lot of these streams over the next couple of weeks, and I really do think it'll help people, because you might be going into your draft going, I heard of this Trevion Henderson guy. Nobody in my league's going to know about him. And then when he's taken, 2 picks ahead of you in the 4th round, you're going to be completely lost in the sauce. Don't let that happen. Understand what's likely to occur, and if it doesn't happen and the draft goes your way because you're playing with a bunch of dummies, more power to you. You're going to get all the guys you wanted, but I think the benefit to mock drafting is exactly that. So I reached on Christian McCaffrey. Again, would I do it? Would I do it in a real draft? Let me know in the comments how crazy you think it is. But the reports are glowing. I mean, they are glowing out of San Francisco about Christian McCaffrey. I cannot be caught holding the bag. In my league last year, I kid you not, my big league, I drafted him 1-1 and ended up trading him away to get some value before it was too late, but it was not a pleasant experience. So I don't know if I could do it again, but maybe in one of my leagues I could. Rest of the first round, CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, Puka, Neighbors, Collins, Amon-Ra. I mean, the folks in the mid to the back half of the round got some PPR value. But then we haven't seen any wide receivers other than BTJ go off the board since then. A lot of running backs early in this format. I think people saw those first 5 picks, 4 of which were running back, and they started to freak out, thinking, I got to get running back. Bowers goes, so he's not a consideration for me. I'm eyeing Drake London, but could I just keep it going? I mean, if people are freaking out about running back, let's take another one. Give me Chase Brown. It's higher than I've ever taken him, and maybe higher than I would take him. But I want to see what everybody else does here, because there are about 2 or 3 running backs left. Yep, Ray goes, nope, I'm not getting screwed. I'm going to lock in a double hero. Team 12 locked in a double hero. Ashton, Genty, and Derrick Henry. I go CMC, Chase Brown. Ray goes Saquon and Kyron Williams. We've got 2 teams left here. We're going to see Team 3 go the opposite approach, more of a balanced approach, taking Gibbs with Drake London. London is an exceptional value if you're getting him at the back of the second like that, so well done there. And then we see McConkey. So, again, there's 3 teams that did it, 3 teams that said, I'm going to go with the double hero RB build. And if I'm doing that, I'm not taking another running back for a while. I know last night I said the same thing, and I took Breece Hall in the 5th round, but that was just ridiculous. I just didn't think Breece Hall, unless there's new news that I'm missing, I didn't think Breece Hall should be all the way down in round 5. I am repping Missouri tonight with the hat. I know the light kind of washes it out, so you can't even tell. But, man, how about Luther Burden III showing out with the Bears tonight? I don't need to, up his draft stock in this draft, but I just was excited about that as a Mizzou fan. All right, I got to start paying attention here. Round 2 is complete. Round 3 is underway. Team 1 with an interesting build of 2 rock star wide receivers along with Josh Allen. I like that build. I want to see how many teams have 3 RBs after 2 rounds, because I think at that point you do start to enter into the dead zone conversation. Not everybody in the dead zone range of rounds 4 through 6 is a dead zone guy. You've got some rookies in there that could certainly pay off. But it's an interesting conversation this year. Team 3 goes Trey McBride, and that's where I would cut it off at tight end, unless you are just such a George Kittle fan. I could see taking him in one of those first 3.5 rounds. After that, I'm waiting on tight end. So I don't have a tight end as of now. I will be waiting. Again, this is full PPR, so for me to go RB is kind of crazy. Ray takes a different approach. I would be locked and loaded with 2 running backs, and then I would be stopping. Ray took a 3rd. I respect it. We'll see how it pans out for him. 3 great running backs. I mean, you can't argue with any of them, but there's maybe 1 or 2 more, and then you start to get into the rookies. I need a receiver. I'm not even going to look on a different page. Almost middle of the 3rd round, and JSN is still there. Ooh. I don't know about JSN as my wide receiver 1, but I really do like him this year. I drafted a crap ton of JSN early in best ball, May and June. I was taking him a bunch, so I got my bags packed. His price started to go up, and I stopped taking him. But for this, I'm happy to do it because I think he's going to be a volume guy, and we just have to wonder what it looks like with Sam Darnold. But if he can pull it off like he did with Minnesota last year, I like JSN as my third-round pick. He's more of like a top-of-the-third type of guy, and I got him in the middle. But I reached on Chase Brown, so tomato. Checking out some of these teams, Gibbs, London, McBride's an interesting start. We see Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts go off the board. That's where I would cut it off at quarterback. I'm always watching. Where do Burrow and Mahomes go? I think standard is still 4-point passing touchdowns. I don't have any way to set that on Sleeper, so that's kind of my assumption when I'm drafting in this league. But I will say, if it is a 6-point pass touchdown league that you're playing in, those guys at the top tier, which is 4 guys, Lamar, Allen, Daniels, Hurts, in whatever order, those 4 guys are valuable, but their value goes down a little bit because the gap is bridged when it comes to the rushing QB versus the pocket passer. Because in 6-point passing TD leagues, man, the guys that throw touchdowns, you can get them late for cheap. But I think most leagues are 4-point pass TDs, so that's the way I'm approaching this one. Which is to say, any of those 4 QBs would have been fine. It was just early. I think last night we went into round 3 and no quarterback had been taken. All 4 of them went in the third. This time we see a couple go in the second. When that's happening, unless I'm back half of the third, I'm looking at Jaden Daniels in that case. Otherwise, I will probably wait on quarterback. There's a lot of good ones, or at least a lot of passable ones. Micah takes the plunge on George Kittle, but he's locked in already with a couple of really good receivers in Collins and BTJ. And Omarion Hampton, I think, like I said, that's not a dead zone guy, right? That's a rookie running back that if you have to take him high, you take him high. I remember drafting Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round of my draft in my big league the year he was a rookie, helped win me the league, but it was a reach on draft day. Nobody's going to remember that, though, if you get your guy and he hits. But I like what Micah's doing so far. I like what Caleb's doing. Amon-Ra, Tyreek, and Tyreek keeps dropping like a rock. I don't think that's, I don't take him because he's old, but he's still obviously got it. And I don't really think he's getting traded or anything like that. So you go Amon-Ra, Tyreek Hill, and T. Higgins. You do have 2 Dolphins, but Achane, again, I think Achane is, as long as he's healthy by week 1, which maybe he's not. Maybe he misses a week. That still doesn't kill you. So I like what Caleb's got going on to start. I'm back on the clock here. Round 4, kind of middle of the 4th round. Interesting spot to be. Devontae Adams feels like a name that keeps dropping. But I talked about this in a couple of videos today. I posted to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. Been posting some shorts, some clips that I thought were relevant from yesterday's draft. I want to make sure that I am clicking guys that I like when I'm on the clock. And I just don't think, like, Xavier Worthy is down in ADP, so this is for sure a reach. I probably should have taken a click to see, like, okay, Worthy would have been right here above, actually below Montgomery. And there's a line on the screen that tells me, Xavier Worthy would have made it back to me. And there's some other receivers up here that probably won't. And so maybe if I had taken a Devontae Adams, do I also get Worthy coming back? That's some game theory stuff that I probably should be considering. But, I'm taking a guy that I know I want on my team. I think Xavier Worthy is going to be a really good player this year. I think the Chiefs' passing game is going to kind of revert back to what it was in the early Mahomes years, where he's going to have that willingness to throw it deep because he knows that he didn't last year and really the last couple of years. 2 years ago, got away with it because the defense was as good as it's ever been in the Mahomes era. And last year, it took him to the Super Bowl to play more conservatively. He also didn't necessarily have that trust in his pass catchers yet. Well, now Xavier Worthy is not a rookie. Mahomes knows what he's got in him. And so with all the weirdness surrounding Rashee Rice right now, I'm happy to take Worthy, even if it is a bit of a reach. But at this point, I'm looking to stack up pass catchers because I've got 2 running backs that I feel really good about. And that's the thing, is like I could take Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I love Puka. Neighbors. Who doesn't love Jefferson? But I felt that the running back well was going to dry up. And I'm not normally that guy. Ask anyone who's played with me. Most years I'm going, give me all the PPR receivers at the top. And it's not that last year scared me off of that because all the receivers at the top kind of got injured. It's just that I think you go hero RB or take two if it works out for you. Like I easily could have gone McCaffrey and then London or McConkey or A.J. Brown. But I just like Chase Brown. I wanted to take him and see what my team would look like. So Mahomes is here. I could stack that with Worthy if I wanted to. Rashee Rice is hanging out. His ADP's got to come down, though. And I'll tell you what, three of the guys that I really like. Hell, four of the guys I really like. I'm going to get a receiver that I like here in round 5. I'm leaning Devontae Smith. I think that's who I'm going to take. But I like Zay, J-Mo, McMillan, Travis Hunter, Waddle. I like all those guys. Round 5 is a round where I feel like a lot of receivers may end up going. Through 5 picks, we've got 3 that have gone. A rookie running back and a James Conner. And again, for me, James Conner's not a pick. That's kind of a dead zone name. But he very well could pay off if he scores 15 rushing touchdowns, which he could. He could fall into the end zone a bunch if he just stays healthy and Kyler, elevates his game. I'll regret it. Well, no, I won't. I won't regret not taking him because you have to go into your draft with a plan, with a process. And my process is to avoid, some of those older players that, one of these days, whoever drafts them, you're going to be caught holding the bag. If I miss on a guy, it's because I was too early, not because I was too late. That's kind of the way I see it. And I know that what pains me, man, is there's a lot of receivers I like in round 5. J-Mo, I could have taken Jamison Williams. I happen to know because of playing so much best ball that JSN I believe is a week 8 bye. I'm pretty sure. Let me see that and confirm that real quick. Yeah, he's a week 8 bye, and I know guys like Travis Hunter are week 8 bye. Jamison Williams is a week 8 bye, so that's why Devontae Smith is week 9. I know the bye weeks by heart from playing best ball. It really doesn't matter. I could have gotten through week 8 with that, but that's the thing that I want to do, though, right? Like, okay, Brenden, you drafted Smith. Why'd you draft Smith? Well, he was top of ADP, and he's a receiver I really like. Okay. But why him over Jamison Williams? Well, the bye thing was in my back of my head. Travis Hunter. Why him over McMillan? Well, McMillan was down the ADP list. Like I didn't want to reach on ADP when there was a good value like Smith. Yeah, but what if you like McMillan better than Smith? Well, that's who I should have taken. Like you have to have these conversations with yourself because all the names that I talked about really liking, they're gone now. I'm not going to get a crack at any of them in the 6th round. So why does it matter what the ADP is? It shouldn't. Take the guy you want to take. It's not me saying that Smith isn't that answer. I think Smitty is a stud. But think through that. As I do these streams, I'm doing them to try to give some wisdom, which is maybe, you can take it as far as you can throw it. But I think that's something, like more than anything, when you fail in a fantasy draft, it's probably not as much because you had bad player takes or you didn't know what you're doing. It's like you panic when you're in the clutch. You panic when, like, as long as you make a plan. Some people maybe go in without a plan. But if you go in with a plan, the only thing that's going to kill you is your failure to execute or stick with that plan when things go off the rails. So, that's my thing is like, are there receivers after Smith that I might have taken? I don't know if that's the case, but I want to scrub it. I want to be like the NCAA tournament committee in basketball. I want to scrub the seeds, compare Smith to each one of those guys and say, look, Brenden, this was your chance to get any of them. So who's your favorite? You really have to know. And don't worry about what the ADP is because it doesn't matter. I'm back on the clock. I've got 3 receivers. We like that. We said we're waiting on quarterback after getting none of the top 4, waiting on tight end. And we've got 2 running backs. So really, we shouldn't really look anywhere other than receiver. And I'm going to take Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze is a good pick. Olave is probably a really good pick. Calvin Ridley, I think is going to have a great year if Cam Ward can support him. But I don't know. Sometimes you have a bad taste in your mouth from a previous year with a player and you can't get over it. That's to my detriment as a fantasy player. But I would rather than say, oh, I remember, 3 years ago, I really liked Calvin Ridley or whatever it was. He was great for my team. I'd rather identify the next guy on the way up, like Odunze, who's a year 2 player, and I think that Bears offense is going to be really, really solid. I think Caleb Williams is going to be in a much better position to thrive this year. I'd rather do it that way than say, oh, man, remember the nostalgia of Calvin Ridley? It's not that he's an old dude, but he's on an offense with a rookie quarterback. I don't think it's going to be an extremely productive offense. I like the Bears' offense to score more touchdowns, more points. And it's the same thing with Olave. It's like, oh, man, he's still a pretty young guy. He could be great this year. I would rather identify the one on the way up. And so I go with Odunze, come what may. Let's check out quarterback, because first 4 teams have one. Team 6, 7 has one. 8 has one. 12 has one. So I've got 3 teams that are going to take one before my next run through. And Dave Montgomery's still sitting way, way up there, isn't he? But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take another receiver. Right now, I've kind of only had to take guys that are in my lineup. I don't have a bench player yet. I'm going to draft one, though, and it's a guy who's suspended for the first 3 weeks. I like Jordan Addison quite a bit. I don't care about the suspension because when you look in the context of my team right here, he's not in my lineup. So I can take that hit. I wouldn't necessarily draft him if he were on the board. I'm probably not taking him right now if I'm Big Lou in the 6th spot because he needs a receiver, right? He's only got 2 of them through 6 rounds. That would make me queasy. So I'm probably taking Diggs or Jerry Jeudy, and he goes Diggs. In my situation, though, that's a bench spot. Now, you might say, well, Brenden, you don't have a quarterback or a tight end. Are you worried? No. No, because like I said, I think with quarterback, you can wait and wait and wait some more. And with tight end, you know, if you're not getting one of the studs, it's a crapshoot anyway. So I feel really okay about the way that this is playing out right now. I'm going to take a moment. Whoops, clicking the wrong stuff here. Take a moment, checking things out on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button here on the stream if you would be so kind. And I will start taking some of the comments here from the YouTube stream and taking a look at those as I wait for my next pick. Appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate those who have taken the time to like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of this type of content over the next couple of weeks. And this year, I'll try to stick with it. Every year, I do a lot of draft stuff in August, September, and then I kind of lay off the gas. I'll try to be doing weekly content. Trades are my favorite part of fantasy football, and there's an art form to it. And so I feel like it would be to my benefit and people who subscribe to the channel, to their benefit, for me to do that type of stuff. Just talk through trade concepts, you know. It's kind of rudimentary to say, well, you want to, you know, buy low, sell high, but there is an art form to it, I feel like. And sometimes, you know, there's no point in asking your league mate about a player. But the players that you really would like to acquire, there is going to be a point in time to ask them. And it's like, well, they know you're trying to buy low, but take their temperature. Like, you know, you don't know if a guy who's supposed to be a superstar and has always been one, but 3 weeks later he's still struggling, or maybe he's a little banged up. You don't know for sure that he's going to bounce back, but you can basically guess that he will based on the track record. So that's kind of the thought process with some of the trade stuff. We're zipping through this draft. We're in round 8. I want to see, there's a name that I'm trying to find where he was taken. It was just now he was taken in the 8th round, Emeka Egbuka. That's always the name I'm trying to watch for, because I don't think he's somebody, and look, maybe I could have gone him in the 7th round. I think Addison's a safer play, even with the 3-game suspension, but Egbuka is very, very talented. And so I always kind of like to see where he goes. I think it's getting too rich for my blood, because there's just, unless like, that's something I should be aware of. Like if Addison and Diggs, guys like that are gone, do I, you know, need to kind of remember, hey, Egbuka's down there, go find him? Maybe. But I think that's an interesting name. Okay, so let's think about this. I always want to get 6 receivers. I talk about this a lot. JSN Worthy, Devontae Smith, Rome Odunze, Addison is 5. I could take one more, but only one more is really all I want or need on my team. I mean, Khalil Shakir to be my 6th is pretty crazy. Jaden Higgins would be great. Juwan Jennings would be great. Oh, man. I'm going to have a hard time not taking one here because I've got the 2 running backs, man. Yeah, I got to take one of these guys. Let's take Jennings. Normally, I want like a definitively young player if I'm drafting to my bench. But Jennings, if they can figure out contract stuff, and maybe I've got too many 49ers, but that should be a pretty good team. I'm not necessarily eyeing Brock Purdy, but I do want to kind of see where he is on ADP. Yeah, I mean, Shakir, he goes right after me. I think he was a little banged up. Bills pass catchers are interesting because it's going to get spread around so much. But Jennings could very well be just a ridiculous value. We're in the 9th round, 8th round. How many? I mean, that's like pick 90 or so, 92, something in that range. I'm going to try to take a look at YouTube here. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on the stream. Justin Jefferson at spot 5. That's a fine pick, Doc. Yeah, no doubt about that. Chase, Bijan, CD, CMC. I would have taken probably a running back there. Saquon was still there. Gibbs was still there. I probably would have taken, I mean, that's probably the play for me over Jefferson. But in full PPR, the reason I'm talking like maybe get a running back while you can is just because of how much I want to be hitting receiver in rounds 4 through 6. I just like the names there. Like, I took Worthy, Smith, and Dunze, but DJ Moore is going there, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Travis Hunter, Jamison Williams, Tedero and McLaurin, Marvin Harrison in the 4th. I mean, it's just Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Waddle. I just like so many of the receivers in that range that it's hard for me, if I'm taking receiver early, I love the guys I'm taking. The problem becomes I end up needing running back at another round where I would rather be taking receiver. So almost to force myself into setting up my draft for later. That's kind of the thought process. We're in round 9. I don't need a third running back, but this is too late for Jaylen Warren. This is too late for Jaylen Warren, in my opinion. Normally, if I'm taking a running back onto my bench, it's a younger player, a guy that I think has great upside. Jaylen Warren being taken, I mean, this is late, I think. So I'm going to, and again, there is that little tinge of maybe concern over Christian McCaffrey. Just like, what if he gets hurt? So I think Jaylen Warren, reports are he looks great. Caleb Johnson is the rookie that they drafted in Pittsburgh. I like him. I always want those kind of rookie guys. The rookie I don't want is a guy that hasn't been drafted yet, so I'm not going to dog on him until somebody takes him. But, like Caleb Johnson went all the way up here. I think Jaylen Warren's going to start. I mean, he's going to see more work. And he's still not, he's like 26. He's not over the hill. So could I look at my team at the end and regret that pick? Very well, I could. That's very possible. But I'm pushing quarterback anyway. There's also other running backs I like, but I can't take them all. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you, I'll wait and see if he drops to me. I'm probably not taking him even if he does. Scattaboo was the name I don't like, but that's okay. Doesn't mean I'm right. That's the other thing, too. If you don't like my takes about players, don't listen to them. But I think you can gain value from the videos because of the way I think through the draft. Apply it to the players you like. You don't have to like the same players that I do. Zach Charbonnet was the other running back where, I might even take him over Warren in some respects, but those are two guys that I think are really going to see enough work, and I think they're good players. So those are two guys that I like. But, I wouldn't have needed Charbonnet even if he got back to me in the 10th. Caleb takes Loveland. I like him. He looked good tonight. Small sample, but that's we're seeing now backup tight ends go off the board. So maybe I waited too long at tight end. But I've got a sleeper name or a late name that I'll take. I got two guys late that I know I would be perfectly content to take. And that's the other thing. The name that I was considering was Loveland when I made the Jaylen Warren pick. But I would like to identify when does Loveland actually go if I'm not the one to take him. Just so you can kind of have that in the back of your mind. That's a tight end that I would, if I'm not punting it completely, I'm looking at rookies usually. I think Loveland and Tyler Warren are very similar, but Warren is getting so much hype. He goes in the 6th round here. Loveland still falls to the 9th round. So I'm just kind of making a mental note of that. It's interesting. Trey Benson, I like that pick. He's gonna split some time with James Conner. And, like, do I like Benson over Warren? I don't know. I should ask myself that so that next time I say, well, my gosh, look at the value of Warren in ADP. What if I like Benson better? Well, pick him. Those sorts of things you got to be able to think about. Luther Burden goes, I have 6 receivers, but Burden would have been a receiver that I would have been like, yo, I want to take this guy. I did not take him, though. Well, shoot. Now I'm kind of under the gun a little bit. They auto-drafted me Kyler Murray. You know what? That's fine. That's honestly fine. I'll tell you the truth. I was looking at Caleb Williams and going, do I take Caleb Williams here? Because I like Caleb Williams, but I wasn't going to get Loveland to pair him with. I do have a Dunze, so, like, that probably would have been a fine pick. But to reach, like, everybody to my left has a quarterback. Strategically, come on, that Kyler pick isn't a pick that I would make. But we're autoing second QBs now to my left, so it's all well and good. Frankly, it's just the talking through my draft picks thing that sometimes gets me on stream. But that just means I should be even extra focused when I'm not streaming a draft, when I do the real thing. But Kyler Murray in the double-digit round, I'm not complaining. I think he's going to have a really good season. I just like to have a stack. And, like, I was kind of, with the Adunze pick a while ago, was kind of thinking Caleb Williams because he tends to fall. But shoot, man, I could have taken Brock Purdy. That honestly would make more sense for my team, is to be leaning in on those San Francisco guys. But that's another reason to not take Jennings. I'm thinking through the Jennings thing. He's my 6th receiver. He's not starting. But I guess that's not true. If Ayuk is hurt, which he is, he's not going to be ready. I think they said maybe week 6 for Brandon Ayuk. And Pearsall, has had injuries in the past, shooting related ones too. To where, like, if Jennings emerges, I think he wants a contract. But if it works out and he's the one and you see it like 12 targets a game, well, I'm glad. I'll be glad at that point that I have him on my bench, because he'll at least be a flex for me. And if he's not, I'll trade somebody above him, or I'll trade him. Right? So that's why you draft him. I don't mind my team one bit. I know that I'm very comfortable with the receivers that I have. I know I'm going to grab a tight end at the end. I've got a quarterback that I think is of all the quarterbacks, there's a long run of them here after Hurts where Burrow, Mahomes, Mayfield, maybe a little bit for Knicks, guys are not running. And Kyler is talking like he's going to run more this year. So, let me just grab Garendo. That's how scared I am of this McCaffrey thing. Let me just take Garendo, which he might not even be the backup. He's hurt too. But I usually, if I'm taking 2 running backs at the beginning, I'll leave with 4. So unless there's some names that drop that I really like, hell, even if there are, why would I take him here? Why would I take him now? No, I'm kidding. I want to be honest about what I'm doing, not trying to strategize for my own league. That's the thing. Like, when I take certain picks, I take it to see how I feel about it. Because, like, Devontae Smith, that pick, I really like all these receivers. And I really like Smith. But who do I like the most? Rather than actually try to decide that today and then go, ooh, look how proud I am of my mock draft. I'd rather just go, it's a very reasonable pick to go Smith. Would I do it when push came to shove? I don't know. So that's why I say less about player takes and just more about, I think roster composition is honestly one of the most important factors of nailing a fantasy draft. I think it's more important than which players you take. As long as you're not taking, like, there's an archetype of player I don't want to take. I don't want to take old running backs. And last year, if I hadn't made good trades, it would have burned me. I think I did win my big league last year. But all the old running backs like Mixon and Connor and Kamara, all those guys killed it. And, I just didn't have any of them. And this year, I won't have any of them because I'm not going to let last year be the reason that, oh, now it's different. No, it's not. Last year was an outlier. You have to stick to your process. Jump back into YouTube because I've got about a half a round before I go. Cobb, you were debating Godwin and Jennings in round 8. Godwin is not on my board. I won't be taking Chris Godwin anywhere. I mean, he's coming off surgery. I don't think he's supposed to be ready for week 1. Caleb taking the trendy name, Krosky Merritt. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Brian Robinson. I kind of hope I have a Brian Robinson share in Dynasty. I kind of hope he does get traded. Land somewhere else. I don't know. It's not that he's in a bad offense, but that's a crowded kitchen if they like that Krosky Merritt kid and they're going to, Eckler's going to see the field. Chris Rodriguez might see the field. I like Braylon Allen. Nice pick there. Makes up for the Scadaboo thing. Irving Kamara. I still like this team. Neighbors, McMillan, Pearsall, Myers, Higgins. Good receiving core. I like the tight ends, Warren and Kincaid, and you got one of the top 4 quarterbacks. I mean, this is a playoff team. This team's making the playoffs in our league. I'll try to do like a 10 seconds recap per team after the draft. Should take me 2 minutes. I just got to rifle through it. Give out some draft grades. But appreciate you guys for joining me. Make sure you hit subscribe on the channel if you are new to it. It's not getting the same love it did. Last year I got tons of views. It was great. This year, not really happening that way, but I still enjoy doing this content. I want to build it up again. I think Christian Kirk is a nice pick. I am on the clock here. Do I take my tight end now? I very well could. I mean, Goddard is still available. Kind of would have more Eagles than I want, but like it's okay to have 2 guys from one offense. In fact, it can be very fun to watch, especially when they're in prime time. I'm going to take Goddard because I've got, I like Likely if he's going to be healthy. Gesicki's injured, but I would like him as well. But I could go all the way down here and take like a Theo Johnson, Jatavian Sanders. I don't care. Which maybe is a reason I could have gone running back here. Like Bashal Tutin goes off the board. There's probably more value to me taking him or taking one of those other handcuff running backs and then going tight end. But Goddard could very well be, I mean, would it shock anyone if he's a top 5 tight end just because of sort of the way that he's in that offense? That's a great offense. We know it is. And he's a trusted target for Jalen Hurts. He's not going to get volume all the time. But the tight end position is volatile by its nature. So Goddard, unless I'm missing something, feels like a pretty savvy pick at the end of a draft. And I feel very good because I really like Chase Brown. I reached on him, but I got him. And that's really all that counts. CMC and Garendo, like one of the two, is going to be great. I think Garendo's very talented. Receivers, JSN, Worthy, Smith. I like the receivers. Let's grab one more handcuff running back for the road. Let's reach all the way down for Will Shipley because I kind of like Will Shipley this year. I've got a lot of him in best ball. I can't put my finger on why I'm not comfortable taking Saquon Barkley. And maybe from the 5, I would do it. In this case, he went one before me. Like, I would take Saquon over CMC, but that wasn't a choice that I had here. And, 5 running backs. Again, like, I'm looking at the Jalen Warren pick. Could I have gone Shaheed, taken Loveland? That probably was the play. Go upside, because I think we know that Goddard, what he is, but he's not upside. Loveland is, like, excitement upside. So I could have done that. But all in all, I don't feel too bad about any of this. 2 more picks off the board, and then we're going to go ahead and lock in with some draft grades, some reaction to what people are looking at here, and see which teams we like, who stands out from the crowd. I like JSN better as a wide receiver too, but in this build, I don't think I mind him as the one. Yeah, Caleb Williams falls all the way to the end. I mean, you might as well take him, Caleb, because you've got Colson Loveland, and you got the two quarterbacks that I honestly should have ended up with. I don't think I'll take a second quarterback. I'd rather take a backup running back. It better be a young one, but like Will Shipley, if something crazy happens and there's an injury to Saquon, or you could name any starter down here. Jalen Wright takes over for HN, whatever. Dylan Sampson, I think, was Team 2's rookie quarterback that they picked. This team took Dowdle at the end. Like, I'm not looking for the Stevensons, although that's great value, taking him that late. I'm looking for those rookie running backs, probably usually over a second quarterback, but you also have to see what the league is doing. If everybody's taking a backup, you might have to go, well, unless I'm comfortable with my, the 25th best QB being my bye week guy, maybe you take one. But I usually am not going to spend a bench spot on that. Okay. Rapid fire. Going to try to do this in 120 seconds. I'm going to set a timer on my phone. If I have gone 10 seconds and I haven't named a draft grade, pick a letter and go. Here we go. 120 seconds. Rapid fire. Start with the receivers. Chase, A.J. Brown, Pickens, Pittman, Coleman, Mims. I like that okay. Running back, it's a 0 RB build, but there's upside with the rookies. Good quarterback, and I like the tight end. I'll go with a solid B. It took me 14 seconds. Too long. McConkey, Sutton, Downs. All right, receivers are okay. Too many running backs. I think there was value to be spent on receiver that wasn't there. But it's like a mid-C. I don't dislike the players necessarily. London, Adams, Olave. There's not enough at receiver. And you didn't make it worth it past Gibbs at running back. That's like a C-. Not a playoff team for me. Saquon, Kyron, Cook. And so, like I said, I wanted to see how they would finish this one off. The receivers, Moore, Ridley, Shakir, Reed, Wandale. For going basically 0 wide receiver, I think I liked the team more than I expected to. But it also kind of had some auto picks in there. Very robust at running back. It's like a C+, maybe a B-. But that's probably a playoff team. JSN, Worthy, Smith, Adunze, Addison, Jennings. I love what I did at receiver. I did that without prioritizing receiver because I went RB. I got Kyler. Like, I'm going to make the playoffs with this team. I'm going to give myself kind of a B to B+. I could have done better, though. There's a couple things I could have changed. All right. Totally didn't happen in 120 seconds, but we forge on. Lamb, Metcalf, Diggs, Shaheed, Keenan Allen, Bateman, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, kind of a lot of running backs that feel similar, and I think you're going to get kind of stuck with running back and not really sure what you want to do. You did stack QB and tight end, and it's a very good stack, so that alone gets you like a C+, and I don't mind the receivers. A little bit of age concern, though, there with that team. Like maybe just a regular C to C+. Jefferson, McLaurin, J-Mo. I don't like the Godwin pick, but Burden I do like. Jaden Daniels I like. I think Kelsey is a fine value. Jonathan Taylor, I think where Montgomery was taken, that's a nice value. I would have taken rookie running backs behind it. I just don't get the Dobbins and Rashad White thing. But it's a C+, close to a B. If you had taken like a Ray Davis and Dylan Sampson, I think I would prefer that over the two bench running backs. But that's a playoff team. That's probably a B-, B, solid B. Here we go. Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, Hunter, Judy. Harris is a rookie. Leggett, I like this team. Fields took him at the end. Bowers, that's the tight end you want. Breece Hall, I got him in the 5th round the other day, so it's hard for me to go, yeah, great 3rd round Breece Hall, but I think he's still a fine play. Judkins is interesting. ETN can start for you instead of Judkins week 1. I like Benson, Jaden Blue. That's like a B+, solid B+. That's a playoff team. Neighbors, Tedero, McMillan, Jacoby Myers, Pearsall, Higgins. I love the receivers. I don't like Scattaboo, but Braylon Allen, Kamara, Bucky Irving did some nice things there. That's a solid B to B+. I like Coop's team a little bit better. Quay, I think is how he says that. But that's probably a playoff team, too. I think I've said that about 3 others, plus myself, guaranteed, so that's 4. Collins, Thomas, Flowers, Igbuka, Ayuk. Other than Ayuk, which, you took him so late, that's a good little group. Like the running backs because you didn't spend up on him, but you got 2 rookies, so that could obviously smash. And then the one that's not a rookie is Tracy, who I happen to really like. I like Charbonnet. Took Drake May late, knowing that you can just kind of play around with quarterback. I think that's totally great. And Micah still has a good team despite, spinning up on tight end, which is like to his benefit. He's got a top 5 tight end. That's a B+ to A-. That might be the best team. Because again, the receivers are just nasty. At least the first 3. And then like Egbuka, if by week 6 is going to be considered nasty. So receiver depth maybe is more of a B+ because of the lack of receiver depth, but I still like that team a lot. Amon-Ra, Hill, Higgins, Rice, Waddle, Golden. Love the receivers. Achane, if he's healthy, that's a banger. And Swift late feels like a great value unless the Bears trade for somebody like Brian Robinson. And you stacked Caleb Williams and Loveland. Yeah, I like that. I'm making the playoffs, but there's maybe a team earlier that I said that isn't because the guys at the turn did really well. Keller, Micah, there's Quay, like that's 3. There's a couple here. It's going to be a competitive league. 6 make the playoffs. I like that team. That's like another B+. I think there's like 3 or 4 really, really solid teams. Maybe 5. And the final one, Genty Henry's a very fascinating RB start. How did you do at receiver? Garrett Wilson, Evans, Debo, Kupp. It's just too old. A couple of those guys are going to break down. But like Laporta, if you're going to take a mid-range tight end, he could have a very good season. I like Mahomes. It's like the receivers C+ to B- for me because of the receivers. But if you ride the rail on that took me 5 minutes. I said it would take me 2, so I was wrong. But that's an interesting team. Like there's a lot of intrigue to this league. This would be a fun league to see play out. But appreciate you guys for dropping into the live mock draft with me. This was a lot of fun. I don't think I am going to go with the second one tonight because I should probably get to bed. But make sure you hit like on the way out. If you did enjoy this stream, hit subscribe on the way out as well. And look forward to future content. We'll be putting up these late night live streams during the week. It's a lot easier to do it late for me, especially during the week. I'll be doing some post game shows for Cardinal Baseball on YouTube early this week, so that's another reason to potentially have to do these shows even later, these mock drafts even later. But had a great time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit like on the way out and subscribe to the channel. But that's going to do it for this mock draft video. Appreciate you guys, and hit me up if you have any questions. I realized I put my face on the screen, and that was blocking a lot of the stuff, so that's kind of my bad. But you got the gist of it, didn't you?